Welcome to our Gemara Shir, straight and simple Gemara, plowing through Masechet Shabbos. You have no idea how many topics we're going to Be'ezos Hashem cover today. So many interesting topics. The style of the Gemara today will be a few short paragraphs, each one dealing with another interesting, relevant topic. We're going to talk about creating spigots, a pipe. We're going to talk about brushing teeth on Shabbos, whether that's okay or not, and what are the sources for yes or no. So stay with us for another half an hour or so of Be'ezras Hashem, beautiful words of Torah. We are in Masechet Shabbos, Kuf Memvav Amud Beis. However, I would go back to Kuf Memvav Amud Aleph because we are kind of in the middle of a subject and we have to recap a little bit. Hi. Now, the shir, like always, is for the Ilui Neshama of my beloved father, Menachem ben Akiva, my uncle Aaron ben Pinchas Yehuda, Zatzal. Now let's go. So let's go back. Hi. Kuf Vav Amud Aleph towards the bottom of the page. It's really not that hard. It's really very, very simple. We'll just review what we've done before. We said before that a person, let's start reading inside. Vishavin, shenoik v'nekev yoshel lechatchila, right? In other words, you're allowed to open a nekev yoshel lechatchila, a person that has a barrel, a kli, made out of wood, let's say, or cheres, and there was the hole was stuffed. You want to reopen the hole that was stuffed, that's okay. Okay? Fine. Now, there was another halacha before that said you're not allowed to create a new hole, fine, but to add and to extend an existing hole, that is okay. And the Gemara asked why. You're not allowed to create a hole, make a hole in the chovis, right? Because that's considered as creating the kli. Maki bepatish. Let's call it maki bepatish because then even Rashi would agree. You're creating a hole, that's a new creation. We already said that today's kelim are different, right? Sometimes it's allowed. Yeah, we're not talking right now lochel ma'isa. But then the question is, why did you say that to expand the hole and making it wider, to widen the hole, why is that okay? Right? When you add and you expand the hole, you're also fixing, right? The hole was not good enough, big enough. When you add to an existing melacha, in many of Hilchos Shabbos, it's aser. Are you allowed to water flowers on Shabbos? No. The flowers are there, but you can't increase the growth. Are you allowed to improve the looks of your house, even in a very small way? No. You're not allowed to stuff a little bit of a hole in your house. It's bona, it could be doraisa. There's no shear to bona, even the tiniest bit. People don't know that. To add a little screw to the wall, maybe Isur Chatas, Isur Kovis. Yeah. So all these things, when you add something to a malacha, is osir. So what happened over here all of a sudden? Making a hole is osir, and to add and widen the hole is okay. Ma'ishna, ma'nishtana. Omar Rabba, here Rabba is coming with a big yisod. I promise this time we'll look at it nice and slow. Omar Rabba, Dvar Toiro, Midoraisa, Kol Pesach she'ena osir lachnus lo tzieinu Pesach. Oh, which means Midoraisa, a Pesach, even in a house, even in a building, a Pesach which is not meant to be bi-directional, to bring in something to the inside and take out something to the outside, ain't a Pesach. That's Hagdor of Pesach. In other words, in Shabbos, yeah, many times we need a certain chashivus to the malacha. A Pesach is only called chashuv if it's meant to bring in something and out something. For example, I want to remind us of what we learned in Kuf Yud Zayin, if I'm not mistaken, or Kuf Zayin, I'm not, or whatever. I think Kuf Zayin, Kuf Zayin, Kuf Zayin, Kuf Zayin, Amud Aleph. Making a hole in a person's body if he has a pussy wound, yeah, and you create a nice Pesach, yeah, a good a Pesach to take out the pus and bring in the fresh air, yeah, to heal the person. That's not allowed. Why? Because that's considered to be an in and out Pesach, even though it seems something small. So really, now when you make a Pesach in order to get the wine out, it's unidirectional. It's only for the wine to get out. You don't need the air to come in. Oh, so in the Oraisa, that Pesach, which is only meant for the wine to come out of the barrel, midoraisa, it's okay. That's no good, fine. Now, Oh, but so why did Rabbanon forbid it? The Rabbanon and the Gozu. Rabbanon woke up one day in the morning with a lot of machshava and a lot of das Torah. Rabbanon decided, no, we can't allow these psochim. We can't have people opening the barrels all day long. Why? Mishumlul shelter negoilin, which means a person. Again, we're talking agricultural society. Yeah, many people have or used to have Lul Shotanegoilin chicken coop, the little house of the chicken, which is much worse because it's also built on the ground. And Lul Shotanegoilin, if you make a hole over there, it's much worse. It's the oraisa. Why? The ovid la yuli avira la puki hevla, which means the Lul Shotanegoilim, yeah, you make a small hole. You don't make a window. You're not spoiling your chicken, yeah. All you want to do is a relatively small hole, and soon you're going to see you don't want a bigger hole, and that is bidirectional. Inside, you want the avir la'ayuli, you want air for the chicken, you don't want them to die. And la'puki hevla, Rashi says in a different place, they, excuse my language, they stink the place. You know, it stinks. The lushat and the golem doesn't smell nice. You want the hevel, the bad air, the bad odor to come out. Oh, and the chashash is like this. If you allow people to make nekev in the chovis, which is really mutter maker din, one day they may come to make a very similar nekev, which in a lul shatanegon, which is small. Rashi says, yeah, and Dafkuf base on base, it's made out of wood. It looks like a kli. So you mix the two. You may come to the other side of the oraisa, or making a hole in the lul shatanegonim, which is the oraisa, which is bidirectional in and out, right, both ways, and therefore that's why it's osur. Okay, let's answer the question. So why is widening the hole okay? Why can I widen and expand and extend the hole of the chovis in the chovis? Answers the Gemara, the suf moisif. Yeah, why? A sufi vade belul shel tarnegolim lo lo sufi. In a lul shel tarnegolim, there's no chashash that one day people may come to add and widen and make a wider hole to the lul shel tarnegolim. Why not? Says the Gemara, Mishum Richsha, explains Rashi, there are nasty, pesty animals such as the weasel or the rat, and they go in and they kill the Tarnagolim. They are murderers for the Tarnagolim. They are Hamasniks. And therefore, because there's a chashash that they may come in, a person's own interest, nothing to do with Shabbos, is that the hole will never be too big. And therefore, to widen a hole is not a problem. The whole problem is, I'm always with my eyes, what will happen with the Lul Shatanegolim? That's my concern. Here, there's no concern, because Lul Shatanegolim, people actually don't make it wider. Beseder? Very good, very simple. Life is beautiful. However, why did we say that some people say you're not allowed to add to the chovis, to the lul, excuse me, why can't you add and expand the whole of the chovis? Some people say it's forbidden. Why? I thought there's no chashash you'll do it in lul shotan goylim. And says the Gemara, no, even belul shotan goylim, there could be such a case of widening the hole. Why? Zimnin, sometimes sometimes the person, when you originally made the little tiny hole of the lul shatan he did not actually fix it right. He didn't perforate it enough. It's not aruchi. He may come to widen it. Yes, lul shatan I mean, he'll make it smaller than a weasel size or rat size, all these horrible animals, but he may still widen it a little bit. He realizes the hole is so small, the air barely comes in. The poor chicken are dying there. So you may come to make it bigger. So therefore, don't do it by the chavis, lest you come to do it by the lul. What's halacha like? Halacha. Dosh of Nachman, Mishum Rabbi Yochanan, halacha kish oimrim. Halacha is like this oimrim, that you're not allowed to widen the hole if you're making a hole in something that's osir, whatever the packaging we're talking about today. Let's say there's one where the hole is a problem. To make it wider is a problem because you may come to do it to Lushal to Nagoyim. Again, halacha ma'aser today. I'm not talking. We spoke already the halacha ma'aser enough before. Now we're going to talk more about the hole. One more paragraph, one more sugya about opening a hole, and then we're going to talk about many other very interesting things halacha in this page. This page is very easy because it's very bitty. There are many small compartments to the Amud. Yeah.
One thing I
Sure.
struggle with.
Question time. Yeah.
It refers to this thing as the bung of the calf.
Okay. This happy note will continue. Good. Vishavin Kuf Mem Vav Amud Beis, right? Is that where we are? Fourth line from the top of the page. Vishavin Shenoikvin Nekev Yoshel Lechatchila. Meaning that, let's say there was an opening in the chovis, in the barrel. Now, we're not discussing the location, but let's say somewhere in the chovis there was a hole. The hole was already stuffed at some point, was caulked and stuffed on purpose. Yeah, you filled it, it was filled. Now you want to reopen it. You take something, I don't know, a screw or something, yeah, screwdriver, a knife, and you re-perforate the old hole. That's not a problem. Everyone agrees, shove in, everyone agrees, all Tanoim agree that that's okay. Why? You can't say I'm maki bepatish or starting something new. Yeah, I'm doing the finishing job. Mapitam. It was finished years ago when I did the original, when I made the original opening. And that opening was just temporarily stuffed. I'm now reopening. Yeah. And therefore, that's not called opening a new opening, and that's okay. Yeah, that's basic premise. No, good. Yeah. Omar Vidu Omar Shmuel. Now comes a machlokes. Omar Vidu Omar Shmuel. Lo shanu el b'mokim ha'osu l'shamil. Before we continue, let's look at my glass of water, my cup of water. Yeah, show and tell. Now, this glass has three places. Yeah, it's actually good. It's half full. Look at the full half, not at the empty half. Here, yeah, if I make a hole over here, that's great. Yeah, nothing's going to happen. I mean, right? This is not going to come out because it's here. If I make a hole over here, that's pretty bad, but the leaking won't be very, very strong. If I make a hole over here, oh my gosh, then gravity helps the pressure. Here it's just pressure. Here it's gravity and pressure. Now, that's very nice. All we have to know now, the Gemara will discuss those three locations. A hole over here, a hole over here where the wine is. Imagine yourself that's, fancy wine. It's wine over here or in the bottom of the barrel. That's now when we have those three things in mind, boom, 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 everything will work out great, Be'ezus Hashem. Again, I'm reading. Amar Viuda Amar Shmuel. Lo shonu el b'mokom osu l'shamir. In a place, if the hole was made originally, yeah, in a place that was, yeah, no, I would say if the hole was made and then filled again, why did you fill in the hole? You wanted to maintain the good smell, the aroma of the wine, aromatic wine. So the filling wasn't very strong. Why? You're not trying to fill it to keep something inside tightly. You wanted to maintain the smell inside. Therefore, the filling wasn't so strong. And therefore, when you reperforate it, yeah, it's just the whole filling in between was temporary, wasn't strong. Ava lechazek also, which means what's lechazek also? If you really originally filled in the chovis hole in a place that you wanted to keep the wine itself inside. Chazak. You made a very strong filling. You cooked it very well and strongly because you want the wine not to leak out. Then you can't say I'm reopening because the stuffing was so strong, the closing was so strong and permanent and staunch. Therefore, what you're doing now is building again. Yeah, because that, excuse the pun, closed the door on the past. You filled it. Now it's a whole new thing. And now to perforate again is also. Frek the Gemara, okay. Where and when do you define it as just keeping in the aroma? Yeah, and where do you define it as a stronger kind of filling that's there to strengthen it? Amar Rav Chizda, here comes the location business. Lemala min hayayin zeh l'shamer. If the hole was over here and then you stuffed it where the wine's not even supposed to be, that is just l'shamil. That hole, filling of the hole was a joke. It was temporary. If I refill it, if I reopen it, it's nothing. It's not a new action. Lemata min hayayin zeh l'chazek. But if it's over here, look where the wine is, and here I refilled it, that feeling was pretty strong because I was scared that the wine's going to leak. And if I filled it very nicely over here, then when you reopen it, it's not called reopen, it's called a whole new opening. Nah, it's also Rove Omar, and there's a Girsa Rabba Omar, Lemati min hayayin nami ze l'shamim. Oh, Rabbi says no. Even below the wine surface is also called l'shamir. It's considered to be a weak kind of Pesach because the wine here is not so strong. Even a little bit of caulking here is good enough because the wine is not mamish leaking so strongly. So what is called a strong kind of petach that you what kind of strong kind of refilling that's considered to be so strong that the new opening will be osir. Wow, underneath over here. Over here is much worse than here. It's not just something that's going to leak and drip and trickle. It's going to be punished the bottom. The whole thing's going to fall with gravity straight away. All with all the pressure of all the wine. That kind. A halacha is like Rabbah. Halacha is like Rabbah that if you make a hole over here and you stuffed it, you're allowed to reopen it. We assume that that's considered to be a weak weak stuffing of the hole, and therefore reopening is okay. And here is not okay. Now, Omar. Amar Labai, very good wine, yeah? Tastes like water. Amar Labai leRove. Now Abai told Rove, which is really Rabbah. Abai is telling Rabbah, his Rebbe, like this. Tani de Alach. I have a brisa that helps you. The brisa seems to be talking about something very, very different than our topic. But basically, Abai wants to send a message, let me explain, to Rabbah just one thing. I support what you say that in order to decide that something is completely stuffed, completely closed, and there's no remnants of the previous opening, for that you have to do something very strong, like the one in the bottom of the barrel. Let's see the case, and then we'll understand the comparison. We're moving now to a whole different area in halacha, and that is a very interesting topic at the beginning of Bava Basra. The first parak of Bava Basra, the first half of the first parak of Bava Basra, talks about neighbors. What happens when neighbors share the same area, the same courtyard, the same patio, chotzer, and they want to split it? Yeah, there's all business, has a kriya, lav shmezik, shmezik. Now, the Gemara says as follows. What happens, I'm still giving an introduction, yeah, I'm not in the Gemara yet. What happens if we have the same, both of us, my neighbor and I, our front yards are really one big front yard, one common area, and we both have, I don't know, it's the whole area together is 20 meters. Yeah, each one is 10 meters. We all know that. Yeah, 20 divided to 2, I think, is 10 each. However, every door, there's another additional halacha. Every door that has Daled Ames, yeah, every door, yeah, that has, I'm not sure the door itself has to have Daled Ames, it's not the Shaila. L'maisa l'choyer, yes, Pashi says, if I have a door, yeah, imagine yourself a house, and I have a few doors to the house. I have a door to come in to the main door, the garage, right? The side room, whatever. You know, houses like in America, they have a few front doors, yeah, or back doors. Let's have a few front doors. Each front door grants me Daled Ames next to it. Like you have parking. Let's say a guy with 3 cars have rights to have 3 parking lot areas, yeah. So each door that I have grants me the right to have another Daled Ames. So if I have 4 psochim besides the equal area, yeah, we calculate that I deserve 4 Daled Ames areas more, one against each door. My neighbor only has 2 doors; he only gets two Daled Ameses in the chotzer in front of the door. Yeah, so I have X plus Daled Ames each. He has X plus 2 Ames only. Yeah, you have Daled Ames extra per door. Why? The Gemara says over there, I need to park my donkey. And that's what it says. The donkey parks in front of the door, in front of the kitchen door, in front of the servants area door. Yeah, so I need parking for my donkey besides the other area that I need. Now, the question is, what happens if I stuffed and I filled in, I blocked my door before we did the chalukah? Oh, so what happens then? Says the Braisa in, I think, Daf Yud Beis over there. Bais Sosum. You have a house which is, in other words, blocked, filled in. I took the door and I filled in the door with bricks. Now the door is completely closed. Still yesh lo arba amas. Oh, same logic as with the chovis. As long as the opening is, yeah, as long as I still have the doorpost frame, I have the door frame, and I didn't break the door frame, so it doesn't look like a total wall. You can see it was a door, just stuffed with bricks. I didn't yet lose my rights as a door owner because the door frame still there. Mashenkin Poras says Ptsimov Enodalad Ames. If I broke the Ptsimim, the whole thing is filled with bricks, and the door frame itself I broke, then and only then we say Giendikt, showing that your door is out of the picture, your door as if it was never there. And I don't care you had a door, I don't care you may open it another time with your new architecture. Once it's completely out, no remnants, no sign of the previous door, then you lost your rights. Similar over here. Same idea over here, says Rashi, Loipoka Shem Pesach Minei Ela Bestimim Al Yasa. Same thing over here. I had an opening over here. That opening is still considered to be an opening even though I stuffed it, unless I do stima me'al yasa. In other words, we assume that the stima I do over here is not so strong. Here, the stima is super strong. I'm using the best glue and the best material to make sure no leaking whatsoever because the whole thing's falling down, right? Mimela, that's a logic of Rova. Interesting. So we compare to different parts of Shas. The idea is the same idea. When do you call the when do you say that an opening was completely canceled, annulled? Only when it's properly stuffed or properly broken, no sign of what happened there before. No traces left. Now, another interesting halacha to do that. Bais sosum about tumas meis. There's a halacha about tumas meis, and I'm following Rashi here. It's machlokas Rashi against Tosfos and Rambam. I don't have time to go into it now. I'm following Rashi now. Halacha says that if a dead person is buried in a caver, regular, not only the mace himself and his own body area emanates tuma all the way up, and if you skip over him, you become tome, right? Or even extend your hand over him, you're tome. Beware kohanim. But even the midrabanon, the Gemara says in Soito Memdaled or Mudalef, I think in the top of the page, I think it says there the Daled Amis on each direction, midrabanon is also mitame. Yeah, okay, Daled Amis. Why? Rabbanon said, don't play games. Yeah, dangerous area. We make a wider area, usher, inaccessible halachically, to make sure the people don't get too close. Oh, what happens now if the mace, and that also applies to a caver. Let's say the mace is in a caver, in a proper grave tomb. So from the caver, Daled Amis is all metame. Now comes this interesting case. Bais sosum. Let's say you have a house with a door, and there's a dead body in the house, and that house I stuffed the door. I kind of built in and blocked the door. Ain't a metamikol svivav. As long as the door frame is still there, I view it as a house, not as a caver. It's a house as a door. And therefore it's not metam dalad amas all over with a radius of dalad amas all over, because it's not a caver, it's a house. But pos is ptsimav metamikol svivav. Oh, if you parts as ptsimav, if you actually broke the doorposts themselves, the door frame, and now there's no tsur of any door. What does it look like? Like a migurila, the things they have in the south or in Tel Aviv, the miklatim, the public shelter. Yeah, that's what they look like. Yeah, it's completely closed on all sides. No, ein nichnas ve'en yoitze, except for the one door. Yeah, it looks completely blocked on all sides. That's a caver. It's not a house. It's a tomb. It's a caver. It's a grave. Yeah, and therefore then it's metame all directions. But the same idea. When you mamish undid the door, only then it has a new name. Now back to Shabbos. Rav, Guvta. Now this is very interesting. Guvta is basically a person has a barrel with a hole. What's next? What should you put in the hole? You're not going to trickle it in such an unelegant way, let it trickle down. What do you need? You need a very nice little pipe, right? You need a pipe, you need a spigot, right? A pipe, a faucet, call it whatever you want. And now you took a guvta. What's a guvta? You took a hollow kone, you took a reed or a cane, whatever you want to call it, a hollow stick that has to be designed to the right shape, width and length and everything. You want the right shape for your hole in the chavis. Now you're gonna have like a straw. Yeah, you want like a straw to maneuver and let the wine out of the chovis. Are you allowed to insert it into the chovis? Yes or no? Now, generally speaking, it's not an issue of bone because these things are very easily in and out. They come in and out, and also disposable. So guvta Rav Osa u'Shmuel Shari. It's machlokas Rav Shmuel. Yeah, we've seen many of these machlokases. Also kuf beis, amud beis. Rav says that to place the guvta in there is osir. Shmuel says it's okay. I warned you, it's not an issue of boner. What's the issue? Oh, this is our new friend. We spoke about him a lot. Mechatech. Mechatech. What's mechatech? Mechatech means cutting to proper size. Lechatchila dekula al maloi pligi de osu, which means both Rav and Shmuel, Rav that says forbidden, Shmuel says it's okay. If you have some kind of primitive, funny-looking kone, and you have to cut it to the right size that would fit to your nice fancy barrel, of course it's osur. It's even chayiv. It's mechatech. I'm cutting it this way. I need that length. I need to cut it a little bit to the top, to make it fit into. Of course, it's also ahaduri. Let's say you have an old one that was used already before, perfect size. You want to be what's the ahaduri to return? To return an existing one, the kulal the shari. Everyone says it's okay. It's not bona. It's not called bona. We're going to explain why more later. By the way, next sugya. You just want to take the same spigot that was there before and reattach it. Gesundheit. Keep lingi the chaticha v'loy betakna. Oh, that's the story. What happens if you have that kind of spigot slash reed or whatever the cane? It was built already. It was cut to the right size. You hope it's the right size. Loy metakna. You never yet before Shabbos tried it. You never inserted it in the actual hole. That's called there was no dress rehearsal. Yeah, you never really tried it inside. So the gzera is quite clear. Man de osar, which is Rav, gazrina dil mosel mechatech lechatchila, right? In other words, you are going to put it in first time on Shabbos. You want to impress your guests. Nice new wine, everything good. You're putting in the what? That cane, that spigot, which was perfectly designed, and it's oops, not perfect at all. Oops, You feel like a complete idiot because it's not fitting the size, and the wine is leaking, and the thingy, the spigot is not fitting properly as you thought it would. What are you going to do? Cut it and be over Isser Doraisa of Mechatech. So because we're concerned that that may happen, we say, don't do that. That's a chashash, right? That's Rav Uman Deshari, the one who allows, which is Shmuel, like Azrinan. That's simple. By Xeris, you don't have to have many svars. It's just Shaila, how far do you go with Xeris? So basically, Shmuel says there's no Xera. I'm not concerned that that's going to happen. If the guy really built it to the right size before, even though he did not insert it, maybe we assume it's going to be okay. Even if it's going to be okay, it says lo nechshadu yisrael lo Shabbosos. People don't mechal Shabbos so easily. Maybe whatever is not choshesh. Now says the Gemara ketanoi. However, that machlokes Rav Shmuel apparently, as of itself, is already an earlier machlokes tanoi. And chotchin shfoferes beyom tov. What's shfoferes? Don't look in the Hebrew dictionary. I wonder what they say in the article. Actually, I'll tell you what shfoferes is. Yeah, I'm interested to know what's the fancy, interesting word. I'll tell you what shfoferes. You can. We're competing now. Shfoferes. Shfoferes in Old Hebrew, my dear neighbor. Shfoferes means anything that you made hollow. That you made shata sita, yeah, you took out the content of the inside, you made it hollow. For example, I'll prove it to you. Shfoferes shel beitza. The Gemara says enough. I think Chavtes Amud Beis in the Mishnah, right? Mishnah b'mei madlikin, right? We say it every Friday afternoon. What's shfofer shel beitza? You empty the egg, and the shell is called shfoferes. You know why shofar is called shofar? No, not talking the Musar Shapru Masechem. I saw in one of the Rishonim, Rabbi Aaron Milunil. You know what he says? One of the Choshev Rishonim, Rabbi Aaron Milunil. Yeah.
Shofar, I don't know. It's a part of the Chagiga, if I remember. It talks about it in Chagiga.
One second.
Yeah,
I'll hear you soon. I'll hear you soon. It says shofar is called shofar because shofares. Because you emptied the inside of the shofar. The shofar comes naturally stuffed in with the material, and you emptied it. That's what's called shofar. Now, what did they say?
No, I remember because I don't know. It talks about Shofar Hamod.
Right.
It's like a tube. It has
It's a tube. Very good, very good. Shpaferes, many times, such as this case, is a tube. It's a tube that was emptied. Now it's a tube. Now it's like a pipe, like a tube. Very good. What are you saying?
A tube. It says
A
tube.
tube.
Actually, it says to here.
One is not allowed to cut a tube in Yom Tov. Then tzachlemer b'Shabbos. On Shabbos for sure shouldn't. Why? Shabbos is always worse than Yom Tov, right? Shabbos is always more chomer. Noflo machzir anayso b'Shabbos v'tzachlemer b'Yom Tov. If the same shfaferes was already inside wherever in the chovis or wherever it was supposed to be, and it fell, of course you're allowed to return it on Shabbos and kol shekin in Yom Tov. The Rabbi Yoshia mekel. However, Rabbi Yoshia is lenient. Rabbi Yoshia allows. Frankly, more. What do you mean? The Rabbi Yoshia ahaya. What did Rabbi Yoshia talk about? Ilema reisha. If Rabbi Yoshia is talking about the reisha, what was the reisha? And we're talking about cutting eshfaferes into good size, cutting into size. Akamitakin mana. How are you allowed to do that? You're mamish making a kli. It's either mechatech, could be makir patish. You're mamish making a kli. You have a shfaferes and you're cutting it for the first time for the right size. How can Rabbi Yosha allow that? That's forbidden. Aren't we religious Jews? How can Rabbi Yosha allow that? Ela a seifa. Ela ma, he's talking about the seifa. Doesn't make sense. The seifa, tanakami nami mishra kashari. The seifa is what? When Chachamim said it is okay to take the same good old shfaferes and reinsert it. So they also allowed. So why do you say Rabbi Yoshia also allows? Everyone allows. What's the argument? Ela must be bingo that gray area. That case of Rav and Shmuel is the case of Rabbi Yoshia and Tanakama. Ela the chaticha v'lometakna ika beinayhu. Very good. We're talking about a shfaferes that was nechtach. It was already cut properly, you hope, but not to the right size. In other words, it was, you hope, yes. Rashi says lometakna. It was never really put into the hole to know that it's the right size. Yeah. Like people buy clothes online. I don't know how. I mean, okay, certain clothes are easy, but how do you know it's your size, right? In other words, yeah, you have to try it on. Yeah. So mimela ika beinayu, that's a machloikis. You cut it, but it's your first time to try it in. Masova gazrina, and Masova la gazrina. Tanakama says you're goizer. Rabbi Yoshia says you're not goizer. So Rabbi Yoshia is really supporting Shmuel. Dosh of Shisha Bred Davidi Mishemed Rabbi Yochanan Halacha Rabbi Yoshia. Halacha is like Rabbi Yoshia. That's halacha in Shulchan Aruch. Halacha is like Rabbi Yoshia. So if you want to build some kind of spigot and you did cut it, yeah, and you think it's the right size, you did give your visual measurement, your assessment, you hope was right. You're going to put it first time in the hole on Shabbos. You hope it's okay. You hope it's good. It's okay. We're not concerned. You may come to do mechatech on Shabbos. I promised to talk about brushing teeth on Shabbos. Big controversy here between Rav Ovadia Yosef and most of the Ashkenazi poskim. I went into it a little bit today as preparation for the next sugya, but we're only going to touch on it because there's no time. There's never enough time. Ve'im ha'isa nekuva. So what did we say about if it was nekuva? The Gemara says, the Mishnah said that if there was already a hole in the wine barrel, and now what do you want to do? You want to stuff it, caulk it with shava, with wax, in order to fill in the hole. I guess the wax is strong enough, and that is a problem of me'mareach, which is, I'm sorry, a told of memachik. What's memachik in the Mishkan? In the Mishkan, it's important to remember in order to talk about brushing teeth afterwards. What happens when you smoothen the skin? You have skin full of hair, bumpy things, I don't know, veins, whatever, I don't know. You smoothen it, nice, smooth leather. That is the memachik of the Torah. Memareach is a told of that. When you take, let's say, wax, which is one blurb, one solidish, it's quite solid, and you smoothen it because you want to create now a flat surface. Yeah, you want a flat surface because you want that flat surface to hug your wine barrel and not let the wine out. That is a problem of me'mareach, like memachik. Now, frag the Gemara mishcha. Mishcha is like mishcha. Mishcha means thick oil. Thick oil means it's thicker than oil that's olive oil, that's runny, they use in your salad, but it's thinner, more runny than the wax. That's machloikas. Rav osa u'Shmuel shari. Machloikas Rav Shmuel again. Rav forbids, Shmuel allows. Mando osal gazrinan mishum shava. Mando shari lo gazrinan. Very, very similar idea. The one who aser says, don't use the thick oil, even though it's more runny, and it's not Isser Doraisa. But if you do that tomorrow, you may come to use shava. Shava is for sure osir, because you're turning solid into mamish, flatten, something flat and more runny. And according to Shmuel, we don't have to be concerned. Omer le Rav Shmuel bar Chanan Rav Yosef befel shomot la nishmei de Rav mishcha shari. Very good. We'll finish here. In other words, Rav Shmuel said to Rav Yosef, you told us on behalf of Rav the mishcha is okay, and here, in other words, it's not clear if it's not okay. Rav here seems to be saying no, and yet there are other people who say that Rav said that it's okay. Tomorrow we'll start the shir with brushing your teeth. No, you don't have to bring your toothpaste and your toothbrush. It's okay. But it's an interesting topic because this Gemara is the source of machlokes between Moshe Feinstein and most Ashkenazi poskim against Rav Ovadia Yosef about brushing teeth. Whether the mishchat shinaim toothpaste, when you have the toothpaste on your teeth, is that called memareach or not? Okay, but tonight you should brush your teeth. Yeah, just on Shabbos, it's a question. Okay, thank you very much. It's late. Thank you so much to all of you who came. Thank you to people on Try Anytime. Thank you to no people on Zoom today. Okay. Anyway, have a great night. Thanks.